Welcome everybody to Brown and Browner, the I think post week 14 edition now, I believe, or week 13, or week 14 actually. Our teams are 6 and 7, but it is what it is.
They look sorry this weekend. Both the Bears and the Chiefs almost played identical, putrid, pedestrian offensive games. Tried to come back late and failed miserably. But we're seeing a lot of that in the league. And the other part that is a little, I guess we always ask for parity, right? I mean, there are two different ways of looking at it. You like having your dynasty, the dynastic runs are great to talk about. Then you look at parity and you say, well, I'd love to have more parity because you want teams to win. Well, we're getting parity this year because there isn't one clear. I mean, maybe the Rams and the Broncos are maybe a tier better than most teams, but there's no clear-cut dominant team like you've seen in the past with the Chiefs and the Eagles and et cetera. If anybody can win. Heck, the Saints beat the Bucks and didn't look like they were a 2-10 team or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the Vegas odds as of this week, but I'm pretty sure they're a cluster because it's the most unpredictable freaking year of football I've been in recent memory of that I could remember. I can't, like you just said, there's no front runner and there's no team that I could wholly put my money on right now to make a Super Bowl run or even a conference championship runner at this point. It's literally week to week at this point.
It really is. I mean, I would have to say just based on what the records show and what we've seen throughout these, 13 games because they all had a bye week. Now they're done. How is it that we got the Broncos, we got the Patriots? They're 2 games clear of all of the other teams.
They're their heads above.
Yeah, you got the Seahawks and you got the Rams and you sort of got the 49ers all in that same vein.
AFC West as a whole,
Yeah, and they're all in the AFC West when you got the Packers. It's just strange to see. To me, I feel like in the AFC, you can't say anything but New England and Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the NFC, the people were picking the Lions. They were picking the Eagles. And right now, they don't even look like they're the top 3 teams in the NFC. So I don't know what we're just going to see coming towards the end. But these teams, if they are worth any kind of talk, they better play their butts off these last 4 weeks. Some of them have the easiest records, like the Eagles. They get to play the Commanders twice. They got an easy record. But then there's some other ones that have some extremely hard records. And we're going to see, the Bears are one of those teams. Do you really want to make the playoffs, or are you hoping you make the playoffs?
I mean, the Chargers, the next 3 of their 4 games, well, 3 of their 4 last games are against all playoff teams, minus the Chiefs, which are not. And so technically, and honestly, after the Chiefs played on the way they played on Sunday, they're not even in the conversation for the playoffs. Because if they make the playoffs, they're going to get beat by 40 first round. I can tell you that.
100% agree. 100%. I'd rather not see them make the playoffs. Yes. Maybe this will be the wake-up call, clean house a little bit, get rid of Kelsey.
I think they need clean house.
A few other things. Yeah.
So, no, and that's the thing. Like, and again, the Chargers, I don't even buy them even after last night. I think Hurts blew the game with 5 picks or whatever the heck it was. Like,
turnover. One play had 3 turnovers on it. One play had 3 turnovers on it.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of. I mean, some people are saying like that was a great defensive game. I'm like, it's one of the ugliest games I think I've seen on both sides of the ball because all it was is the offensive line sucked. Quarterbacks were getting raped on both sides. There should have been criminal penalties. Like,
I mean, there was
people got taken to the showers.
They were sticking, licking, and hitting on those quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and I have to give Justin Herbert credit.
Herbert ran. I was impressed. I was like, dude, can run a little bit.
Well, remember, he's got a broken left hand, right? So you got to give the guy credit. He gutted that out. He played like he wanted to win the game, and he won. And as a result, they won. But it was all on the Eagles. They shouldn't even had a chance to tie the game towards the end with 4 interceptions. They finally actually did a run with Saquon that was the push look, and then they went to the right, and then they got away from it all of a sudden again and thought that they should pass the ball 40 times. Complete 50% of your passes.
Notice how the Eagles have lost 3 straight games, and A.J. Brown's had 100 yards in each one. Was there a correlation there?
Hello. And you know what? I pose this question to you. Was this brewing from last year because it was all about Saquon and it was all about Jalen and A.J. Brown wasn't hearing his name as much?
I'm sorry, but dude's getting paid to be on a Super Bowl winning team. And I'm sorry, again, we bring this up every single week. This is a team sport.
Hello.
And you're known for having rings. I could still name off people that have won rings on other teams that weren't stars. And because they've won rings, they get the reputation and everything else.
Hello.
I don't get it. I get the individual accolades that every player wants. I understand that. But I'm sorry, but that also comes in a system that wins. Yeah, you had a Tom Brady with the Patriots, but you also had an Edelman, you had a Welker, you had all these other characters in there, and they played their role. In a successful program, basketball, football, baseball, you have people that play roles. That's the way you get success.
Do your job.
Yep, do your job, and that's how you win, and that's how it works on a team sport. If you want to go play individual sports, go do whatever. Go do a dunk contest. Go do whatever you do. Go play ping pong.
Well, I used to tell my kids this when I coached. There is no I in team. There is a me. There is a me.
Yep.
Because that me is in the word team. But it's because you contribute to the overall team concept that we win.
And on a team that's successful, yeah, there's one or two stars. And those are the guys you get the ball to or whatever it is.
More frequently.
In the crucial moments. Like,
yeah.
You have a Saquon, that's who the ball's going to. You know that because Baduda is going to get you there. There is no question. Jalen Hurts, I kind of question you nowadays. I don't know. We'll see. Dallas Goedert.
Their scheming sort of sucks. They got some offensive weapons, but I do agree. I think Hurts is not seeing the field clearly, and he's not on time because there were many different examples of that last night where there were at least two receivers open that he didn't see.
My defense for Jalen Hurts is only one thing, and it's not because of last night. It's just in general. The man has had, 15,000 offensive coordinators in his career since high school, and never one that stayed longer than 2 years. So is that a defense? Yeah, but at the same time, what does that say about your own quarterbacking skill to not overcome the shortfalls of an offensive coordinator? Because case in point, Peyton Manning called his own plays. As far as I knew during his career, that dude audible on the line and made shit work, regardless of his coordinator, regardless of his coach, whatever it is. Now,
yeah, but he was one of the most cerebral
quarterbacks.
He wasn't the most talented. If you look, Peyton Manning wasn't the most talented. His spiral was a duck. But,
physically not gifted, my friend.
Yeah, so I think he's the exception, not the rule there.
Yeah,
and I do agree that to some degree your talent should be able to overcome some shortcomings.
Sure.
We can't use that, and we've talked about this before. I don't think we can use it does hurt. Ask Justin Fields how his career was damaged by being on the Bears and having shitty offense coordinators.
100%.
I get that. However, Jalen has been successful with these offensive coordinators, and just the natural progression of any position in the NFL or otherwise, you're looking for that next promotion. And an offensive coordinator is that good, you're not going to have them around for 5 years in a row because they're going to be coaching another team in 2 years. So that's going to happen. That's just the nature of the sport and what you would see. So we can't use that as an excuse all of the time. And I'm sorry, I don't care what offense coordinator's out there. If a guy's standing right there in front of you and another guy's standing right there in front of you and the window's this tight, is that the throw you're supposed to be making when it counts?
Well, and I'll go back to something simplistic. In society, we say there's people with book smarts and there's people with street smarts, right? And I think the same thing has changed in sports, is my hot take, is the fact that we used to be in an era of, kids growing up. You played street yard ball. Like, I'd pick up my friends. We'd go out to the local football field and we played some schoolyard ball where you improvised. You did everything creative you could think of in your head to get the ball down the field and, score and have some fun and all that. I feel like now, because of the quote unquote competitive nature of sports, and this is America and everywhere else, people have been driven to succumb to a system or a pattern or a fixed way of that thing has to be something, whatever coaches think has to be the perfect way to build a player or whatever. Right. And I think because of that, when a lot of these players have come up probably in their youth, I feel like they've been in too structured an environment to know how to improvise. And I think that's honestly got kind of what Jalen Hurts kind of attributed to last night. In schoolyard ball, you make that throw, like you just said. You got two guys here. I'm sorry. You could do it off your back leg back in school, and you throw it right down a zinger. These are professional athletes. And they can make
did it.
Yeah.
Caleb did it.
Yeah.
And I think you hit on something with the lack of creativity. I think sometimes I also feel like the idea of an offense is balance, a
Yep.
real offense. And if you look at the history of the NFL, the best quarterbacks were able to utilize the run to
Yes.
impact how linebackers were situated
Yep.
in order to pass it over them down the hash marks, down
Absolutely.
whatever. We don't see a lot of that anymore. And I feel like a good point was made weeks ago. I saw on one of the shows about Philly. They just lined up and out muscled people last year.
Yeah.
They're not doing that anymore. If you see their offense, one, their running is really bad. And at first I thought it was just them not running enough, which I still believe, but it looks like their offensive line is nothing like it was previously.
Exactly.
So that's one thing. I also feel like, in order to be a good quarterback, you have to make good reads and accurate throws. And they're showing highlights right now of Philly and last night. And if you've noticed, at least I have noticed, with Jalen Hurts and with a few other quarterbacks, their technique, they're sailing balls.
Yes.
It's not hitting people in the chest
thing in the chest. Yeah.
It's up here, it's behind here, it's all of these things. And I feel like just from an accuracy standpoint, many of these quarterbacks have, maybe they're not practicing their craft enough, maybe it's just sort of lackadaisical, but they're not throwing the best passes.
They're not stepping in the ball.
Yeah.
They're not stepping in the ball. And maybe some of that's tribute, like you just said, weak front line, couldn't get even time to even get the ball.
Yeah, you run it for your life. It's hard to get a stable platform and be able to pass, on level.
Don't think about it. Okay. Any team that's had success walking in a Super Bowl had a strong front line. Simple as that. It's always been true. It's not like you had a sieve in the front line that allowed everybody to get sacked and quarterbacks didn't have time or whatever it is. Yeah. You've always had a strong front line. When did that get abandoned when it came to building a team? I mean, that's what's sad right now in the NFL this year alone. I have yet to name one, so other than maybe the 49ers, because Christian McCaffrey is obviously, doing damage as he needs to. And maybe the Rams. There's no strong
the Bills to some degree.
Bills to some degree, but even then they don't get cooked the ball enough to prove it. That's the thing, and Allen's also having to rush throws. The front line has taken a toll. Now, think back to development. Okay, how many kids are naturally going and saying, hey, I want to play O-lineman when I'm in high school or whatever?
and even more so in today's world. Think about yesterday's world. And some of it might not have been great, be a man, get out there and play football, blah, blah, blah. But kids wanted to do that. Kids wanted to be in the trenches. They wanted to get a little mix-up going. Nowadays, kids are like, can I text you? Hey, can I text my block to you? Here, wait, hold up. Block.
I'll give you a hot take. We don't do aggressive sports in school PE class anymore, like dodgeball or anything. That's why
or any of these things. Well, we stopped all of that because everybody's afraid to get hurt. We live in fear all the darn time.
You know what I'm waiting for? And again, I'm not trying to get political on this. I want to see the presidential fitness test come back. I don't even call it presidential. Just call it the damn national fitness test. It's not even in gym schools anymore. People don't roll up pegboards anymore. People don't tie a rope anymore. There is no want of people to want to better themselves physically in any fashion or to be stronger. It's all about me.
Well, and I think the other thing, and this is just me, and whoever's listening, you can get mad at me for saying this, but I've seen it firsthand. Kids used to be forced to do things.
Heck yeah.
We used to force the kids, and maybe that wasn't right in today's world. Oh my God, the kids have as much voice as the adults. But the reality is this: if you leave it the reason they're immature is because they haven't had experiences. Well, if you don't dictate those experiences to them, they'll never. Their favorite word is no, because they don't want to go out and climb the hill before a soccer game. They don't want to go out and run. They don't want to. My son, I remember when I took him to tennis practice. He said he wanted to play tennis, so we went to McFederish and I took him out there. He said, "Man, I don't like this." The first thing we did was run, because that's where kids are today, because they're not outside every moment of their lives once they're 2-3 years old running around. They're sitting at home texting and looking at their phone and watching the TV. So they don't do the things we did. We wanted to get out and run. We were out there exercising. Kids don't do that anymore. And then we ask them, do you want to? And what do you think they're going to say? No.
My son's in 5th grade. He has yet to run a 100-yard dash in the gym class.
We used to do that every year.
Like, we used to pride ourselves. We used to have a marker board of like when people would beat 10 seconds. Like, what the hell, dude?
So we actually had a competition, and I don't know if it's conducted on Serendipity Day or was there, I think it was our Olympics. So we used to throw the softball so you could throw it over the fence in our playground. We used to do the 100-yard dash. We used to have this mechanism, a horizontal bar. You had to flip over the horizontal bar, and you used to have to do the rings. That's what we did in school. Yes, okay, it was in the 70s, but still.
At least it built character and confidence in people.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, I sit there and I'm like, these kids don't do crap. Like, and I can see where they're bounding into pro sports now, honestly.
And that's what it is. And I feel like you never know what you can achieve if you don't challenge yourself.
Exactly.
But kids nowadays don't want to challenge themselves. We were challenging ourselves. First off, I used to be outside every day when I was, 10, 15, whatever. And we'd play basketball, football, and baseball right across the park every day, all three sports. Not one sport, all three sports. Because we liked doing that because, one, we didn't have a phone. Two, our parents kicked us out of the house and they didn't want us around the house. So we had to go find ourselves and go do something. And three, we actually interacted with each other face to face. Like, hey, what's up, Frankie? Hey, what's up, Kevin? How y'all doing? Y'all want to play something? Y'all want to do this? Y'all want to do that? Kids don't do that anymore.
No, and like I said, I think it's starting to show itself in pro sports and even college sports at the end of the day. Yeah, I'll flip the script here a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Old school, y'all. You see that?
Exactly. Straight up. Kicking it old school indeed. That's exactly right. Now, I'll flip the script a little bit and talk about college football and how it's also even there.
College football, and we can get back to the pros.
As you well know, the playoffs have been set. There's a lot of controversy there, and obviously, it is what it is at the end of the day. Did they choose the right teams? Yeah, probably, because they were conference winners and everything else. I can live with it. Let's see it play out on the field. Now, what I have a real problem with is you got teams that didn't get in. They're not even wanting to go to bowl games, opting out of bowl games, opting out of, the opportunity for a kid who played his football his entire life for the pride of the game, supposedly, and doesn't even get to showcase it on a national stage at a bowl game, which would be a peak revelation for 99% of athletes that are out there, because only the 1% are going to make the pros anyway.
Exactly.
But no, let's just yank that away from kids too while we're at it.
Because we're protesting what the board decided on, what the committee decided.
And pure bullshit. College football has become the biggest joke in sports, in my opinion. It is
become, or has it already been?
No, it's always been. It's always been a farce, and it's always been an institution that's been corrupted. Now it's getting exposed for the joke that it is, honestly. It's a comedy. Because honestly, I get that, 100,000 people pack a stadium a week in the Big Ten. I get it. I get the loyalty, fandom, all that crap. Okay, and I get the money. I understand all of that. But you know what? The purity of the game has been lost at 100% because of all the money.
Totally agree. Let's run around. Let's be in the same conference. Well, let's be in the same conference, and we're on opposite sides of the coasts.
Yeah, because, UCLA and Rutgers got to play every week.
There's a rivalry there.
Yeah, seriously. And again, all the money-making scheme has destroyed rivalries. It's destroyed the fandom. It's destroyed the camaraderie that used to exist in regional sports. It ruined competition, in my opinion, because I feel like the quality of players coming out of college in the last 10 years is absolute trash. You get maybe 5 NFL guys, 5 maybe, that turn into players that could have a nice 10-year career, turn into stars every few years. Maybe, if you're lucky. Honestly, name in the last 4 years where you've got superstar studs. I mean, there's guys that have a 1-year track pattern. You got a Drake May, you got a Daniel Jones, 1 year, 2 year here and there. Show me somebody's got a 10-year career. Because the last person that's going to be able to do that now is Matt Stafford, in my opinion. He's going to be the last of a dying breed.
Well, I think he's going to be the last of a dying breed because, quite frankly, most of these people don't love the game in that way anymore.
None.
We were talking about this with Jordan last week with the love of the game clause. Nobody's doing that. Nobody puts in the blood, sweat, and the tears and loves the game like that to where they're committed to it until they can't do it anymore. So
Name me an
I don't,
NBA
I
player
don't know
that's
if
going to
the
name me an
programs
NBA,
are.
yeah. Name me an NBA player that's going to walk in July or August past Rucker Park in New York and go pick up and play a pickup game right now. None of them.
Well, they're not going to walk by there anyway because, big rich people don't do that anymore.
That's another problem. Whereas in the day, you had Kobe, you got Michael, you got everybody doing that to prove their worth on the field of the streets.
And you just said that. Prove your worth.
Yep.
That's not where people are anymore. And you're right. Maybe we don't have the talent, but I feel like part of that is there's no passion in the player to be that talented, to fully commit to that. And I get it. The allures, my brother had pro basketball talent. And once he started getting the accolades and the ink, all of a sudden, the way he loved the game changed because the game was giving him, visibility and access to pretty girls and stuff and leeways to where, hey, you know what, coach? I don't want to have to do my homework. Can you get somebody to help me? You know what I'm saying? So I think it changes the way you are. Before you're just hungry. If you're hungry, you're head down, nose to the grindstone. I'm going to get it done. When you're not hungry like that, you don't tend to put the same effort in.
People are almost afraid to sacrifice for success now in a general pattern.
Sacrifice in general.
Yeah.
You're just talking about that with kids. That's a sacrifice. Kids don't want to do the sacrifice part first.
Yep. And I think that's honestly what's breeding what we're seeing in pro sports at the end of the day. And especially in college now. Like I said, college football is the biggest joke on earth. Am I even going to pay attention to playoffs? Maybe half-heartedly, only because there's some interest in some games. But honestly, you know what I want to happen? I want to see JMU win. I want to see Tulane win the damn thing.
Love to see that.
I want to see the kids that are hungrier like that went to the smaller schools, that earned their keep, that want to beat up on the big schools. I want to see that happen because you know what? I'm tired of the farce.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And the funny thing is, I feel like March Madness does a better job of this, of bringing in smaller schools and allowing smaller schools those opportunities. Even if they're a 15th or 16th seed, they're getting to play the big teams. They're getting the exposure. How do you think Gonzaga became what Gonzaga is today? Right. It's because they perform well on that stage, and then people are like, "Oh, Gonzaga, that's a place. Let me look into
it." And again, also a place where a coach hasn't jumped willy-nilly to go take another job. He's had the opportunity to get the Duke job, the North Carolina job, every other job, Kentucky job. Mark Few's had every opportunity, but you know what? Loyalty from a coach. It does start there. I'm going to say that much. It starts where you build a program and a culture, and that's where hats off Curt Cignetti, Indiana. Oh my God,
love that guy. Love his
that
story.
guy.
He could have tried to be one of those guys, but he stayed at Indiana, and look at what's happening.
Yeah, and I would love that guy to have a 25-year career there and be the next king of Indiana next to Bob Knight, honestly, because that would be awesome to see.
I mean, not that I'm the biggest Indiana fan, but I am a fan of that. So I would agree. I would love to see that. You mentioned Bobby Knight. Sorry, Bobby Knight was a jerk. He was one of the biggest jerks ever, biggest bullies. He was the epitome of everything you would show at a coaching academy. Is like, these are the things you don't do. And then just roll the Bobby Knight tape.
True. And I don't disagree. Now, let's better, classier option, Mike Krzyzewski.
There you go. Well, I think at least bringing this back to the initial conversation, I think that's also part of what we're seeing. And this is part of, to me, and we've talked about this is the part of the corruption that doesn't make sense to me in college football. You have records. Like if a conference winner should get in, Duke should have gotten in, right? Because they won their conference, right?
Yes.
You got teams that don't even have conferences, like the Notre Dames. They don't have to play a conference championship, and they can decide which parts they want to be in a conference. Like Notre Dame is essentially part of the ACC, except for football, right?
Did you see the trash rule that comes into play next year because of how their contracting right works? Basically, if
they finish, no matter what, they're guaranteed a top 12 spot.
So what? So now money pays to be in a bowl game, basically.
Plus, they got fans that can travel, so they want to make sure they have that.
I get that part. Okay, so I get some of that goes into the decision making. It absolutely does, without us saying it. A committee is going to choose a team that they know they're going to get a huge base for. That's how the entire March Madness works. March Madness builds odds on the fact that they can draw 100,000 fans to come to Dayton, Ohio, or wherever across the country because they've got that fan base. And I get the whole Notre Dame thing. And honestly, I've been against it since day one because I'm an anti-private school guy, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, now you're saying, hey, I could even buy my way to national recognition without having the talent on the field. Seriously.
I think all of this is de-incentivizing teams, de-incentivizing, like this whole, and I'm a fan of NIL, so don't take this
Sports
wrong.
don't matter. I'm a fan of NIL, but I'm not a fan of all the fact that, okay, there's a way I can fix that NIL, and I'll suggest that later. But at the end of the day, I don't like it when boosters and outside forces dictate who you get, how you get them, what you pay them, without limitless options, right? At major schools, right? And honestly, the small schools lose in that situation. And then more importantly, when you have a system like the NCAA that does nothing but help those schools that already have the money, tools, and everything else to get the talent on the field but suck, still get into national play.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about NIL, so I'm just going to.
Well, no, NIL, I think it's the intent was to help.
Well, you stopped me. I wanted to be able to say something about NIL, but I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was going to say NIL. The intent was to get players their money because it's worth. College players should get what they're worth at the end of the day, especially to a school because they're the ones bringing in the money, not some institution or whatever. But at the end of the day, now you've got outside forces dictating everything from coaching, which is the whole carousel that happened obviously in college football this year. It all came down to money. Let's face facts. And then it also changes the player dynamic because now you got players that are having to decommit from their schools last minute and then go to other schools and flip because of coaching changes or whatever, right? And guarantees and everything else that go in between. So all you've done is create a business. NCAA is now a business. It's not a place where amateurism and sports matter anymore. It's a business. Simple as that.
Agree.
So, but no, like I said, it's been trickling into pro sports, as we've noted. Probably hasn't worked in soccer because we not in this country anyway. But get ready for the World Cup. That's all I gotta say on a side note. Hey, US, you've been set up to win. Let's see if you actually fail or not.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yep. But no, like I said, pro sports, I think yesterday was a good example with the Eagles-Chargers game where we have a culture now where players don't play for the purity of the game. They don't have the talent to succeed at a street ball level when it counts, a.k.a. Jalen Hurts. And frankly, we're seeing that product come to fruition this year in the NFL season. Simple as that.
Yeah. The NFL has ways to go, but honestly, it makes for exciting football in the sense that nobody's a clear-cut winner. It's not the Patriots dynasty. It's not the Chiefs dynasty, which we just went through for the last 5-6 years, where basically they were dominating. To see them fall so quickly is quite a shock, but I guess it's inevitable, right? The reigns like the Steelers in the 70s, the Patriots, in the Brady era just don't happen as much anymore. The sad thing to see is there are divisions in the separate conferences, to me, that are just trash right now, and they're screwing up the playoff system. So, for instance, the Bears are now 9-4,
right? And they're 7.
9-4. They have a better record than the Eagles, but they might not make the playoffs because the Eagles will win their division because their division is so soft. Or let's go even further down. Tampa Bay is leading their division, tied with the Carolina Panthers at 7-6.
Yep.
The Bears could lose 3 out of the next 4 games and not make the playoffs, but have a better record than 2 division winners and not make the playoffs. Something's a little screwed.
I think we brought this up before, maybe a few seasons ago, because you have divisions like the NFC South or even the AFC South, and all these, they're not that great. They're teams that barely make 500 schedules and they make the playoffs and all that. When does the NFL and the NBA move to something where you just look at the 8 best teams at the end of the day?
I think they might have to do that because at some point, and I remember back when I think Seattle may have won the West, or one of those teams won the West, and actually I think the Bucks did it a few years ago where they won with a sub 500 record. Yeah. And yet they made the playoffs, and they got a home game.
Yeah, they got a home game.
And there was a big argument about that because they were saying, well, wait a minute, how can you do this? So let this happen a couple more times. It'll become an issue. And I think it's going to become an issue this year. Look at the division where there were at least at least one, if not two teams that people were picking to potentially win the Super Bowl, or at least win the conference. The
I mean,
Bengals and the Ravens are the worst. The Steelers are winning that division.
Walking into this year, I would have said the entire NFC North.
Well, no, the NFC North was a good division.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have said that at the beginning of the year, if you asked me, all four teams were contenders at the end of the day, even the Yankees, because
except the Bears. To be honest, except the Bears.
The Bears were written off early. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
The Vikings came off a great record, but they got rid of Sam Darnold, didn't keep Danny. The Lions are the perennial. They should win the NFC conference the last few years.
Yeah.
You got the Packers, who are also in that discussion. Everybody loves Jordan Love. So, but look at how they look. The two of the teams that you probably thought would be good, because J.J. McCarthy was an unknown product, but the Vikings looked so good last year. Look at them; they look horrible, even though they just shut out. Who did they just shut out? The Commanders, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say should happen. You keep the divisions intact, but you play with the 8 best teams at the end of the day. That's what the playoffs, I think, should be. Because if you take away any bit of the division realignment, you take away all the classic rivalries. I think, honestly, the Bears-Packers rivalry
you become college football.
You're talking about one of the best 5 pure rivalries in sports, period. Don't care what anybody else has to say. Bears-Packers, one of the best rivalries ever. Packers Lions. That entire North has great rivalry divisions. The West, Seattle 49ers and the Rams. Holy cow. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch every week. The Cowboys and Eagles, even if you're not a fan, still one of the best rivalries in sports. I mean,
and if the Giants could get better again.
Yeah, if the Giants get better. But what I'm saying is, like, at least you have that purity in NFL football. I like that. But at the end of the day, for the playoffs, it should be 8 best teams. Simple as that.
Well, what builds the rivalry is the regional divisional setup, in which it should be.
Rutgers is playing UCLA, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I do feel like, in looking at the sport, quite frankly, I don't know if taking the 8 best teams works. Because again, what's the point then if you just take the 8 best teams, then you probably should just dissolve the whole idea of playing teams in your division twice. Because there has no purpose now. Now you're actually, a third of your games are against specific teams that other teams aren't necessarily playing, and all of a sudden now it matters because I'm just taking the best record. So I don't know if that would work, in my opinion.
I guess if you keep it, but see, that's the thing. That's the whole purpose of the rivalry thing, to have a home and home.
Exactly right. So you can't have one without the other.
You can't have one without the other.
Rivalry, you need to keep the division so that they play each other twice a year to have that rivalry. Otherwise, it'll just become nothing.
I mean, how do you realign the South then? Because that's really the problem, is in both conferences is the South, honestly.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, the reality is this. Big market teams just have a notable advantage in general. I mean, I think in football, where they've done a good job, that small teams can still win more so than baseball and maybe even basketball. But I do feel like those big market teams are the ones. I mean, New York just sucks because it's New York. But, you got LA, you got Chicago, you got some of these other teams. You need to be able to get the Tampa Bays. Like, when you look at the NFC South, and this is just me, but if you look at the NFC South, for instance, you got Tampa Bay, you got
it. 4 major markets, if you think about it. It's 4 major.
Atlanta, for sure. Tampa Bay, I don't know if that's a major market.
It is. It real estate money.
And then you got Carolina, which I think you have those teams. But you know what's weird about it? I just feel like historically, if you look at those teams, Atlanta had their one moment with Matty Ice where they choked the 20-point lead in the Super Bowl. Carolina had their one moment with Jeff Igdell home, as well as with Cam Newton. They didn't quite get there. The Buccaneers had probably the most success out of all of those teams in that group because of what they did back in the day when they had Gruden and other players. But they started off like the Aints. And speaking of the Aints, because they're also in the South, the Aints ain't.
It took Drew Brees. Yeah, it took Drew Brees to get that one. So
They got one championship because of Drew Brees, but outside of that, it was probably 2/3 of their history is futility.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's because of the region, more so because you don't have that in the West. It's a nice way. the West have been one of the best teams historically. When you look at, the San Francisco 49ers and you look at the Rams and what they've done.
Here's the irony. Well, here's the irony. College football, we know the SEC is the hotbed for football because, frankly, a lot of the high school top players in the country, play in the South because of the weather. It is what it is, right?
Right.
And college, obviously, in the SEC, football is king. There is no question. I mean, people come out in masses to watch it, but there's not enough pro teams. Now you have Atlanta, which is a metropolis in itself, but the college team's way out in UGA, further out.
Right.
You got Charlotte, which is the Panthers, but, North Carolina's this way, it's out near Duke and North Carolina and all that's further away from Charlotte. You've got New Orleans, which technically I feel like, at least having visited there past year, it's football. I mean, the New Orleans is pure football. High school, pro, that entire city, because of the socioeconomic value of the city, everything centers around certain things. Mardi Gras and football is literally it. There's not much else out there.
There's not much to have out there, but I think they have a focus on college more than pros, in my opinion.
They do. They do. And so, I mean, you would think ideally that those epicenters in the South would have a bigger presence, even in the AFC, for instance. I mean, Nashville's turning into a big city, but it's also a program that's mired in futility because of ownership and coaching and all that. So the Titans are kind of the Titans at the end of the day. Indianapolis isn't really South. It's a sports mecca in itself in the North. Jacksonville, they belong in Europe.
They're trying to move there. They have 2 games a year now in England or whatever. So.
Shad Khan and his mustache, Yeah. So, it's one of those things where I mean, you bring up a valid point, though. If you have to have a rivalry, you have to have a home and home. There's no point in that.
You got to.
Yeah. But then what do you do about the South having, 500 records and then hosting a home game in the playoffs? Or do you do a reseeding? Just a simple reseeding.
Or you do something like what's been talked about and what happened potentially in the NBA, where a great young player like a Luka Doncic went from a team to one of the historic teams. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, the 5% chance of winning the first pick just happened to go to the team that gave Luka Doncic away.
Yeah, you just rig the system. Yeah.
Maybe you throw a couple of good players the way of those bad teams. And quite frankly, it's hard for those teams to really get good. If you think about it, I mean, Tampa Bay had Brady when he came in, he turned them around, and, Baker kept them going. But all of those other teams have pretty much been mired in mediocrity at best.
Falcons have Bijan Robinson and Drake London, and they still can't get things going.
Well, and so I don't know if it's the coaching, because shitty teams don't get good coaches. Generally, I mean, some good coaches go to shitty teams because they're trying to prove a point, but many are like, no, I'm going to stay away from that one and that one. Right. I feel like, these teams have to figure out a way to get better faster, because they get the first pick in the draft and they get a great quarterback with a shitty front line and no real threats, as receivers and such. But Atlanta, you thought, would be the team on the up, because they got Bijan, because they got Pitts that they say is going to be the next great tight end, and yet they still look pretty pedestrian and mediocre at best. And I don't know if they're going to get better than that, given what we've seen from them.
Nope, absolutely agree.
Hey, you know what? I want to roll into just a few of the highlights or lowlights, depending on how you look at it, from this past week. So looking at last week, looking at the games last week, last night was a great example. Hey, just so you know, I went 7-7 and you went 5-9. So
I'm not surprised.
That was a pretty bad week if you think about it, going back and forth.
Are you ahead of me now for the year, I think?
No, we're tied at 119 and 74 with one tie. So
we're tied 4 weeks to figure it out.
Win rate. But some of those games, I mean, the Lions played like they wanted to win. They played like they needed to win. The Cowboys, I just want them to stop talking about the Cowboys, because they're not making the playoffs. As much as Philly is trying to lose that division, Dallas is just not good enough to even try to win it.
Dakota, you're back to being Dakota. Simple.
That's it. Dakota. How about that Browns-Titans game? That probably was one of the best games on the docket last week.
I tell you what, I on paper I would have just said it was absolute trash. I'm not going to watch it. And then Shadur Sanders does Shadur things. You know what? Everybody wrote him off. or he wrote himself off, or whatever the whole dynamic knows of the draft. I don't really care. Dude's got game, and he's a winner. He knows how to play the game. He can street ball. He can do everything that you need to. Why they pulled him off the 2-point conversion, I still don't know.
It made no sense whatsoever. Why did you change that?
Might have gotten the job, yeah.
Yeah, he's lighting them up. So let's go to a direct snap to the running back who lost his mind, and I think he was supposed to pitch it to the cutting wide receiver for an end around, but he didn't.
Yep.
So gotta love it.
Nah, good game though. I don't disagree.
Yeah, he had the quote. Imagine what I would do if I had a full off season, if I had a full training camp, because he basically was, sitting on the bench watching other people play.
Yeah,
so you got, I think he has something there, and maybe Myles Garrett made a right decision because he signed a long-term contract, and if they keep Shedeur and he keeps progressing, they might look good. But they're still the Cleveland Browns.
They're still the Cleveland Browns. They got to overcome institutional problems.
Seahawks smoked the Falcons.
Easy win. Yep. Bills Bengals was interesting.
That game was played in like a blizzard at first, and they were scoring points left and right. It was actually a pretty good game.
I thought for sure that game was going to be what it should have been looking like during the Packers-Bears game in terms of the weather. But
yeah, but it held off.
Yeah, but no, that was a great game. Burrow, a couple picks here and there, and it basically cost him. But yeah, no, it was a good game. Josh Allen, yeah, you don't want to go play that dude in Buffalo in the middle of January. So they're kind of in that hunt again of getting in the playoffs, and they could be that team as a 6 or 7 seed that can, upset or 1 or 2 having to play on the road.
I would agree with that. I think that Josh showed why he was the MVP last year. He has all of the gifts. He knows when to be able to take it and run. And God, you don't want to tackle that big boy. Mm-hmm. We'll see if they can be consistent enough. The Bengals, I thought the Bengals were going to try to play themselves back. Given what happened yesterday with the Steelers and Ravens, had they have won that game, they actually would be back in the potential conversation of winning that division.
By the way, what is a catch these days? Just reiterating what John Harbaugh said.
So that was the biggest goal. You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of when the Packers played the Cowboys, and who was the receiver? He caught the ball and stretched to the end zone, and they said that he didn't complete a football play, and it was like complete play. Yeah, and that's when they started making these rules. This is some bull crap. Yeah. That was a touchdown. How many more feet do you have? You only got 2 feet, right? So what, you need to have a third foot? That's
what they said. The head of officiating came out and said he had to have a third leg. I'm like, what? The dude drew had his dick extend out, and
I was just about to say, you're gonna pull the wang out and be like, hey, let me touch the ground. Boop. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah. I'm telling you, and the fact of the matter is this ruins games because it ruins the outcomes.
Yeah.
And the Bears game too. I mean, that was a catch, right? I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, don't get me started. The officiating, I feel, this year has been at its worst. Yes. There have been so many calls. You even saw it last night. The same exact move on one player didn't get called. On the other player, it got called. You can't have that. The consistency, maybe they're having a robo-refs would be good. I don't know. But I'm not liking the fact that the officials are really changing the game. That was a catch. Anybody who looked at that saw it was a catch. Even if you saw it in the slowest of slow motion,
it was a catch.
That was a catch.
I agree. That was 2 blown. I mean, that's 2 games with consequential outcomes for the playoffs. Think about that. Yes. And refs are deciding it. That's
deciding this.
Yeah, absolute crap, to say the least. Rams did what the Rams needed to do. We know that for last week. I mean, they're looking like the power horse, number 1 seed, provided they don't choke out the games, basically, at the end of the day.
I'm glad I put a little bet in there earlier this year that the Rams win the Super Bowl, because to me, they look like the most complete team right now from an offensive and defense, more so than the Denver Broncos, more so than the New England Patriots.
And if they win, I would love to see Matt Stafford walk out in the sun and retire, because I think that would be a beautiful way to end his career. The guy's been a baller his whole career, high school, college, pros. And it would be cool to see.
I agree. Coming out of Georgia and going to Detroit, he did some things at Detroit that just didn't get recognized because it was Detroit. He had Megatron. He made Megatron.
He made him Optimus Prime.
But whatever happened that caused that trade, talk about a key trade that changed his whole life. He would have just mired Detroit. Even if Detroit was whatever. I think he would have just because he'd been there so long, he needed to change. he goes to LA, wins a championship. And if he wins another championship, I know Goff is probably going to be pissed, but
Oh yeah.
I'm happy for him. I think that he's always been a class act his entire career.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun to watch that whole run. But hey, let's see what the Bears come up with.
I think the Bears are onto something. That game, gosh.
I mean,
they could have easily been blown out. They could have also easily won that game.
That's what I'm saying. I hate that the refs decided the outcome because it should have been purely played on the field, and now it's going to have consequential outcomes on, seeding and everything else, which is absolute trash in my opinion. But I hope to God that both teams, if not all three teams from the NFC North, make it somehow. And it's not going to happen, but we'll see how tiebreakers and all the other crap works out, because at least the Lions have the edge over the Cowboys right now on the tiebreaker there. The Bears would have to win out. The Lions would have to win out, and it would get interesting from there, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions and Bears can win out because they're playing the last game.
Yeah.
I think the other thing
playoff game.
Yeah, but if you look at the playoff games and where the seeding is set right now, you've got 3 teams from the West, you've got 3 teams from the North, and basically you just got one or the other from the other 2. Let's forget the win out and 2 teams lose. None of those scenarios. Sure. It's either going to be Carolina or the Bucs. Nobody else from that conference is getting there. They're 7-6 right now. It's probably going to be the Eagles, barring them losing every game and the Cowboys winning every game. So that'll be them. No other team from that conference is getting there.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 division winners. How many playoff spots are there? 2 or 3?
7. Oh, you mean on the court? Yeah, there's only 3 wild cards. Sorry.
So take away the Packers, who lead the North, and take away the Rams, who lead the West. So that leaves 4 teams for what? 3 spots. The Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers actually have a leg up on the Bears right now because they have the same record that the Bears have.
I could see Seattle playing themselves also out. They're playing well. Don't get me wrong. But I'd see a few kinks in their armor. I mean, I haven't looked at their full schedule. I know they still have to play a little bit of the West too, with their 2 biggest rivals still on the schedule. I could see Seattle playing themselves out potentially and the Bears sneaking in. If the Bears win out, the Bears have to beat the Packers and Lions, obviously, still.
I think at least they have to beat one of those 2 teams. They must win against Cleveland this week. And the pivotal game for me, while those 2 teams matter when it looks at the conference, if you're just looking at or the division, if you're just looking at the playoffs, you know who they really need to beat? They need to beat San Francisco. If they don't beat San Francisco and lose one of those games against the Lions, they could possibly, end up with 10 or 11 wins and not get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
They have to win that game against San Francisco because that's one of the teams that's going up.
Tiebreaker.
There won't be 3 teams from the North making it unless all of the teams in the West start losing, because the Lions are already a game back.
Right.
So they're chasing regardless. So they have to beat the Bears at the end of the year and hope. So it's either going to be the Bears or the Lions. The Packers will probably be in, and it'll be 2 teams from the NFC West.
True. No, and this is, I think, one of the commentators, I think, last night brought this up. This is the year where I think the NFC has finally taken the AFC in terms of depth. If you think
I would have to say that. People wouldn't have said that at the beginning of this year, but look at how many better NFC teams there are that look like contenders versus the AFC teams.
Yep. So now it'll be fun to watch. That said, let's go into quick picks for Week 15 here real quick. Thursday night's game. We're starting off with that NFC South we just talked about.
Bucks Falcons on Thursday.
Bucks Falcons. I'm going Bucks at home on that one. The Falcons are still, trash.
Yeah, and I thought Kirk Cousins was going to take this as an opportunity to revitalize his career. Not so much.
Kirk's done. He's just collecting a paycheck and walking away at this point. The Bucks are getting healthier because I know they have reactivated Mike Evans to possibly come back for the playoff run, so that'll be interesting. And he supposedly might be back for even the last couple of weeks of the season. Can he break 1,000 yards in 2 weeks? No.
Probably not. But I think their problem right now, the Buccaneers historically of the top bowls have had good defenses.
Yes, and that's the thing. Exactly.
How many points did the State score? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah. But no, I think we're both going Bucks on that one, so that'll be a safe pick on Thursday, I would think.
Yep.
Starting off the slate on Sunday, why don't we start with our own Chiefs and Chargers in Kansas City? Can we even trust this Chiefs team anymore? Because the offense honestly doesn't even exist. The defense carried the team.
And they should have won that game on defense. What did they give up? 20 points?
Chris Jones earned his paycheck and more. in the second half.
Yeah, but they need to do that every game. But I'm sorry, I'm going to pin some of this on Nagy and
100% on Nagy and Reed. Yeah,
and Reed because
yes.
of the play calling, the fourth downs in your own territory, got too desperate too fast. But I'm also going to blame this on Mahomes. Regardless of what the blocking is, Mahomes is doing what Jalen Hurts is doing. Yep. There are guys that have been open. There are guys that he could get it to. And I don't know what the hell's happening with him and Kelsey, but it just doesn't happen anymore. You know, Mahomes has got to do something this offseason because I feel like he's not making the players around him better.
I'll tell you what needs to happen. I think Travis Kelsey's done. I don't see it. Done. He's not able to pass block like he used to, and that's where his asset was. Even despite being a big offensive threat, he honestly was a good protector on the front line, and he's not even doing that this year. And even when he does get the opportunity to catch the ball, he's fumble nuts. Like he can't grip the ball.
He has a lot of drops. And not only that, I've watched some of the tape on, and I say tape, I watch the replays whenever I can. He runs some lazy ass routes. And I think what's happened is he's run those routes so much, and now Mahomes is not looking at him at all, that he just is giving up. And then when the ball came to him, he wasn't ready for it. It wasn't the perfect pass. It was behind him, but he fumbled, jumbled, blumbled, and it got intercepted.
Well, the routes, like the same routes you're mentioning, they're not run with crispness like they were.
No.
They're run flimsy instead of like hard, and I know I'm going to get the ball within 5 yards. Boom, hit me in the chest, and I'm going to take off.
Right.
Like that. It's almost like he doesn't want the ball. That's what it is.
I feel like he probably gave up because he wasn't getting the ball. Here's a guy who was a star, who's a Hall of Famer, who was getting 100 catches a year. And then all of a sudden, they got some no-name fast guys, and they forgot about him, and they stopped throwing to him. And I've seen it in tape. And I say tape, but I've seen it where Mahomes out. I mean, he doesn't even look Kelsey's way anymore, and Kelsey's wide open on some of these plays. So after a while, I'm sure he's getting a little diva, a little frustrated. You're a star, and now you're not doing the A.J. Brown in a quiet way. And I think that's what's happening. But I think it needs to be cleaned because something stinks in Kansas City right now.
So what do you take?
I got the Chargers.
I'm probably running my last bit of faith in this team, probably only because it's a home game. I'm going to go Chiefs on this one. I think it's their last hurrah, honestly. Meaning, if you don't win, obviously we know it's over. We don't make the playoffs. It's 0%
It's still over, even if they do win.
I think it's still over, but I think for just internal satisfaction at this point, you're still going to try to beat the division. And you've got the Chargers, you got the Raiders, you got the Broncos still on your slate, obviously. I'm going to go at least they beat the Chargers and the Raiders. They probably won't beat the Broncos. So
it would be nice to see them win, but quite frankly, I'm being a Bears fan too. I'm in that mode where, you know what? Why win games that are meaningless? You're going to get a mid-level to low-level draft pick. You know, I'd rather see you, if you're not going to make the playoffs, be great at not making the playoffs. Don't get to the cusp of it and still not make it. Their record where they are, they're below 500.
Yep.
You can't expect to win 4 in a row and pull off a miracle to make the playoffs. I just don't see that.
Fair enough. I don't know if it's a game of the week, but it's obviously up there. Bills Patriots. It's not going to matter because I think the Patriots are already going to win the division because they're 2 games up. However, this one's in New England. New England already came and punched Buffalo in the mouth in Buffalo. I kind of like the Patriots in this one.
I'm going to not jump on the Patriots bandwagon. I'm going to take the Bills. Given the performance, let's let it be cold. Let's see. The only problem I'm having with the Bills right now is their defense can't stop the run. Right. The defense isn't good enough. But I'm going to go with Josh. I think Josh is in that mode. I think he's not ready to give up the idea that we still own the division since Brady left. So I'm going to go with the Bills on that one. I'm going for the upset.
Fair enough. There's our flip-flop right there. The other one that's in the division, and it's more comical now than anything else, Ravens-Bengals.
So who's going to win this game?
I'm going Joey Burr.
I am too. I did the same thing. I already put Bengals down. I'm sorry. The Ravens are the biggest disappointment this year.
All sports. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they can't figure out how to right the ship at the end of the day. It's that simple. Yep, they're done.
Hey, I got Eagles-Raiders real quick. Do we even need to talk about that?
Done deal. I'll trust Saquon and the boys on that one at least.
Same with Cardinals-Texans. We need to talk about that.
DJ Stroud and the boys, that defense is looking good.
All right, last two, I feel like we don't really need to talk much about. Jaguars, Jets. My hat's off to the Jaguars. They beat the Colts. They look like a real team. I feel like they're going to win the division and potentially make some noise in the playoffs.
Lord Farquaad has got some stuff going there. So, yeah, no, easy one there, I think.
Last one. Well, Giants, Commanders.
I'm going G-Men. It's a matchup of two teams that are ailing really strong, but frankly, I'd like to see Jackson Dart and Wan'Dale Robinson probably come out a little bit more on top. I know Scary Terry's back for the Commanders, but the Commanders just look horrible, man.
Well, and I think between Jaden being out, Ertz is out for the season.
Now out for the season, yeah.
No, I think that they don't have a lot to really offer, and the Giants
that defense.
Well, Giants. The funny thing is, given a game here or there, the Giants actually could be contending for the division title. They just don't know how to close games. They've lost so many games in the fourth quarter. I'm going to take the Giants.
You're absolutely right. Yep.
Panthers, Saints.
Going Panthers. I think it's going to be a close game because it's division, but I think the Panthers are looking good right now.
I agree. I don't think the Saints can pull that off twice, even though they're playing in New Orleans. I just don't see that.
Yep.
Lions, Rams. Here we go.
I'm going Rams. I mean, the Lions are on the up, but that defense is still suspect to me. I don't care that I understand Gibbs, everything else. The offense is going to put up numbers, but that Rams defense is solid. They're the best team balanced in the NFL, in my opinion, top and bottom. And it's a home game for them. I think the Rams win.
I agree. Plus, this may be the game that they could clinch. A playoff and potentially keep Seattle at bay from the division. Yes. So I got the Rams as well. The Lions, as much as they look good, I think this is the game that's going to probably trash their season, and they may not make the playoffs after losing this game.
This will put them in danger. Yeah, that's for sure.
Colts, Seahawks?
Oof. I'm going Seahawks. Colts, now you're down Danny Jones and everything else. You're bringing in Phil Rivers and his 12 kids to play. It's not working out well.
That. Is that really real? Is he really going to come out of retirement?
Well, he's trying out, in fairness. He's trying out. Let's see. He has been coaching high school football in the offseason. So
I'm sorry. You might want to call Brady and tell him to break his Raider contract. I don't know if Phillip Rivers isn't the winner.
I got to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure somebody mentioned on media that he is now a granddad. So
is that a first in the NFL?
Seriously, man, you got a granddad, and then you got Flacco. This is one of those years that just you're digging deep in the
Rodgers, well. Yeah. I feel for the Colts. They started off hot as a rock. They were the last undefeated team, and then they did a swoon, and it was just. And with Daniel Jones trying to play with a broken leg, tibula, something, and then he.
Kudos to Jones for being. I mean, the guy was already playing with a broken fibula. Tore up his Achilles now, and he was still on the sideline rooting on his team. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
I give the guy all the credit in the world, but I think they're doomed now without the quarterback. Taylor, you've seen, hasn't been effective the last few weeks. He's going to be even less effective with no real threat to throw the ball.
Yep, agreed. So, no, easy win there, I think, for the Rams, unfortunately, which, it's going to put an end to the Lions' run, which I think opens up the door for the Bears at the end of the day, and that's where you got to talk about, the Bears matchup this week.
That's right. Bears, Browns. Is this a trap game? Is this the game that the Bears are going to get exposed as not really a playoff team?
Shador, national TV. I'm assuming Dion will probably be there because it's in Chicago. They'll show up and kind of watch the game. This is going to be fun. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to pick Bears, but it's a high-scoring game.
I got the Bears, too. I'm going to wait to see what the weather looks like before I say
they blitz Shador enough to get pressure on him. That's what I want to see.
Well, so this is where the Bears are lacking.
Yeah.
They don't get pressure on the quarterback, and that was key in the Packers game.
Yes.
Love was sitting there patting the ball,
all day.
And shit.
Yeah.
They have to do a better job of that. If they don't get pressure on Shador, I think Shador's as good as people thought he was before the fiasco at draft night, and he's getting his time to show it now. And remember,
Yep.
Cleveland doesn't have any great weapons. He threw it for over 300 yards. So
This dude's making more with less. So that
yeah.
actually proves something. Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out one thing about the Cleveland Browns. What the hell is Deshaun Watson's role?
He's still going to be on the roster next year. It's been officially announced because he has to
Why
pay.
is he on the roster if he can't play?
Because you either keep a man on the roster and you pay him, or you take dead cap money. It's a financial thing.
Well, they should fire whoever did that. I don't care if it's the owner. Fire him.
That's everybody.
I think this is the game of the week.
Yep.
Packers in Denver.
I'm surprised they haven't flexed this to a night game because it would have been
Me
better.
too. Me too.
I'm disappointed by the NFL, scheduling gods at the end of the day. This is going to be a great game and a great matchup because exactly what the Bears did. They're going to pressure Jordan Love. And we get to see if Jordan Love can actually throw the ball on the road in Denver. I'm going Denver.
I'm going for Denver, the same reasons. I think what the Bears did to the Packers, Denver can do much better, and that's pass the rush the passer. They have better cornerbacks. They've got Surtain back. The only problem with Denver is that their offense disappears in the game.
Yeah.
So this might be a low-scoring affair, but the Packers have been in some low-scoring affairs this year already. I feel like the Denver defense is going to make the difference.
Yep, agreed.
Titans 49ers, is that a conversation, even though the Titans did beat the Browns?
Christian McCaffrey might run for 200 yards, or they might even pull him early just to relax him.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's talking 49ers, but they historically, remember, they were in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. Why can't they be there this year?
And they have insurance at quarterback, if you think about it. Even if Purdy goes down, Mac Jones still going to be balling.
Yeah, Mac Jones was doing well when he was out. So
Mac
Jones.
Now,
all right, we got Vikings Cowboys in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm disappointed first off by the TV gods of putting this atrocity on TV at Sunday night. It's going to ruin my evening because I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it, but I'd rather see the Broncos Packers at that time.
Yeah, 100%. That or the Lions Rams. Like, either one you should flex out to the afternoon or evening, which is ridiculous. But in this game, I'm going to go Cowboys at home. I mean, the Vikings are still the Vikings at the end of the day. I'm sure J.J. McCarthy enjoys his little shutout win, his number 9 garbage, but you know what? He's going to get raped by by Dallas this week, I think.
I think that it's going to be closer than we think because Dallas's defense got exposed again. It's like one week everybody's praising them, next week they're like, oh, they suck again. Yeah. I'm taking the Cowboys as well. Just because I think J.J. McCarthy hasn't put 2 real good games together, and it's in Dallas. That's the only reason. Lastly, and probably one of the potentially worst games on the docket, best Dolphins Steelers on Monday night.
Yeah. I mean, interestingly enough, the Dolphins are on a heater right now. They won 3 or 4 games in a row. And I called this mid-season, if you remember. I said they got the softest schedule going in. Yeah. You know what? I don't buy the Steelers still. I think they're still absolute trash. And I'm going to go 2 on the boys on the road, and Crackhead Mike gets the win goes over glorious Mike Tomlin in this game.
I could see that. I don't know if A-Chain is hurt. I think he's what makes Miami go because he's a threat. But given the situation, the fact that, I mean, they could have a high and a low. They beat the Ravens. They come out. Yeah. What's that?
Steelers are playing for the division.
And that's what I'm thinking. Now that they beat the Ravens, they have to play them one more time. But if they can beat all the other teams, then they should be okay. And quite frankly, why can't they beat the Dolphins? I'm going to take the Steelers at home.
Yeah, and frankly, the Steelers I think they have a majority home game slate left. And if we think about that, Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the playoffs. Let's face facts.
Potentially. But again, they're the same like we were talking before. So if you look at the AFC, it's similar there. The AFC, whoever wins the AFC North would probably be the only team to make it from there.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to get much there. Now, the AFC East, unlike it's been in the last few years, you got 2 teams coming from there. Buffalo
it's up to
and New England.
And the South, I think, is going to be the interesting one. You have the Jags and Texans, which we didn't think about earlier.
Right.
And then now you've got the Patriots and the Bills. Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to probably be the Jags and the Texans. I think the Colts are making it, especially with Danny out, they're looking for Phillip Rivers. That's probably not a good option. And then what do you have in the AFC West? You've got 2 teams as well. being the Broncos and the Chargers. So I think you're going to have one of those interesting scenarios again where a possibly decent team might not make it. And one of them, it could be either Pittsburgh or the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens, I don't feel deserves to make the playoffs.
And not the way they're playing. And they're going to be in the same situation. If you get that kind of team or the Chiefs team in the playoffs, they could lose by 40 points. It'll be a national tragedy. Yeah.
I agree. That would be like what happened to Alabama against Georgia.
Yeah.
Don't go to a championship game or a playoff game and get beat by 30. If you lose, you lose. But to get beat by 30 means you should have been there in the first place.
And welcome to college football.
Unfortunately, that's a lot in college football.
Truth. But no, that's the slate for this week. That's our picks. I mean, like I said, we're also now into fantasy playoff mode in most leagues, I think, in week 15. So it gets a little entertaining there. So good luck to everyone there that made it. Yeah, I sucked this year in our league. So, it is what it is.
We got to talk about our bet, right? Whoever has the most points, wasn't it?
I got to look at the points after this evening. I'm pretty sure that you or Ben probably are going to take that bet because I had the shittiest team.
I think Ben's out. I think Ben said he wasn't in the bet. It was just you and I.
Okay, so it's you and I. So I think I'm pretty sure you got it. So you got a lunch coming.
Yeah, it's all good. I hope the fantasy teams, I hope you guys are ready for the playoffs. It's been up and down. You just never know who's going to do what week to week. You really don't.
Yep.
But we love the sport. It's the best sport in the world. And it went from no fun league to always having fun league. I couldn't come up with the right acronym for that. But you got to love football. And you know what? This is the time of week. I was just delivering gifts at La Rabida Hospital here. I do that every year. And to see these kids who are, not fortunate enough to have money, living conditions that help them overcome and maintain, the right medical treatments for their conditions. It was so great to see them smile, and I'm happy to be privileged to be able to do that. Make somebody smile this month and carry the idea of the Christmas spirit beyond just December. Make it every day.
Now, we kind of get lost in the fact that on Saturdays and sometimes we're watching these folks that did have the opportunity or did have the chance to do what they want to do in life, meaning play sports and everything else. There's 99% of the world that honestly doesn't. It's as simple as that. We need to be looking out for them right now and honestly every day if we can, but even more so right now. So definitely give your time, your effort, your money, whatever you can this season to those folks that don't have the opportunities.
That's it. And even if you don't have money, if you don't have the time, just be kind. Pay things forward. Be a little kind to someone. Maybe they'll be kind to someone else. And before you know it, you made a difference in the world.
Yep, absolutely. On that bright note, enjoy your week of sports. Enjoy your fandom this week. Like I said, we're getting into the trenches of, the college football playoff season and all that. And hopefully rivalries still exist. We'll see. I've kind of lost my own luster in that. But at the same time, football, pro football is here to stay and create that fun.
Well, go James Madison. All of the underdogs, we want you to win. But I'm actually hoping that Indiana wins. Great story.
I would love to see Indiana finish the title.
Yeah, to be able to see that. I remember when Randall L was there and they had a little promise. I'd like to see that just because the coach has a great story. He stuck it out with the kids. One of the few times that you're hearing a coach actually stays at a program as opposed to going to get more money.
Yep, 100%. 100%. On that note, we will see you guys next week. Take care of my partner.
All right, be well, partner. Enjoy. Let's go see some good football this weekend.
Heck yeah.
All right.